All right, so Nick, after a year and a half, has made a video about Milena and him with his divorce. So Nick has not really done anything in a year and a half. I think the last time Nick was like fully streaming was like what, a year and a half ago with the girl content was with when he was doing there's like I think it was with Nora. Yeah, I don't really remember. Something like that. I forget. Okay, so Nick is definitely looking a little chunky. So I think he, obviously he was saving up his nuts for winter. And he is coming out of his hibernation. And for the first time, I think he's actually going to talk about this stuff. So let's see. Let's see what he has to say. I have no idea what this video is about. I literally just saw it. I did see it, that it was a post. So let's go ahead and see.
Hey, it's time. Let's talk about the divorce. So I've been away for quite a while.
I like how 1 second into the video, he goes from having a decent posture.
It's time. Let's talk about the divorce. So I've
to hunched over, just immediately. We're 4 seconds into the video and he's already got gamer neck.
been away for quite a while. Let me tell you why. At this point, the case is over. I've been trying to get this divorce settled. It was a lot longer process than I thought, and I haven't talked about it in any official way up until this point. There's two different courts. There's the court of public opinion, that is Reddit, Twitter, all those great and wonderful places. And then there's the court of law, where I believed that was the best place to spend most of my time and focus most of my efforts. After it was settled, then we could talk about it. We could dispel any rumors or any sort of questions people had. And that's who this video is for. It's for people who genuinely are curious about what happened. I have documents here in front of me. I'm gonna read them as they are. I'm gonna try my best to not have any of my opinions in here.
Can't wait for you to make this video. Brother, listen, if you know, you know. My video is not just going to be this. If you know, which I'm sure a lot of you do, because you are degenerates, you know it's not just going to be this. It's going to be, ridiculous.
Some of these things are a bit confusing for people who don't know lawyer speak. So I'm going to do my best to explain these documents in a more casual way. So hopefully everyone can understand them. Keep things as plain as I can. This isn't to inflame the situation or cause any stress to anybody whatsoever. I just want to...
Nobody knows, they know.
Speak the truth, finally. So I want to do my best to provide an accurate timeline of what happened. The divorce was filed by Milena in January of 2025. We had split up the previous year. It was amicable. We tweeted about it on Twitter. Everyone saw that. And the divorce ended up being officially filed by her in, like I said, January. I sent Milena a 50-50 offer down the middle in April of that year. She did not accept it. I did not know what she wanted out of this divorce until mediation, which was actually in November. And essentially what she wanted was the same thing she wanted in trial, and that's what we have here. I warned Milena that trial would be very expensive. It would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but still we had to go to trial, and you'll see why. So bear with me now. We are gonna go into some legal documents.
There is a lot of video cuts, yeah, there is.
What I have here is what they call Milena Nmplol's First Amendment disposition of issues. So this is essentially what she wanted. I'm gonna read the document to the best of my ability because I can't read very well, but I'm gonna explain things so everyone can kind of understand what she wanted and how it went down. Keep in mind, we each had this. This one's hers, this one's mine. We'll go over mine, but first let's do hers. Hers is a bit longer. The first thing she wanted, and by the way this works is it's essentially a line with for a check mark and then the thing that they wanted. So the first thing that she wanted was to grant the divorce between the parties on the grounds of insupportability. This is very important, and I'm gonna explain exactly what that means right now. In Texas, a divorce can be granted on the grounds of insupportability, which is the state's no-fault divorce ground. The Texas Family Code defines insupportability as a conflict or discord of personalities between the spouses that destroys legitimate ends of the marriage relationship and prevents any reasonable expectation of reconciliation.
So, Miz, you're an expert. Explain what's going on. So from what I understand, after 2 minutes in, Nick and Milena got a divorce.
In practical terms, it means neither spouse has to prove wrongdoing, no evidence of adultery.
I could be wrong.
Cruelty, abandonment, or other...
Wait, hold on. So Milena's basically, and Nick agreed that they are going to have a court settling stating that Nick didn't cheat on Milena. So a lot of people are claiming that Nick cheated on Milena. The court is basically trying to say, and they both agreed to this in the court, that Milena, because there was, that was all going around with the whole, he fled to... what was it? It was like Paraguay or something, Norway, to go cheat on Milena. And basically in this, it says that Malena agreed that that did not happen.
Ability as a conflict or discord of personalities between the spouses that destroys legitimate ends of the marriage relationship and prevents any reasonable expectation of reconciliation.
Now, what's interesting about that take is Malena originally stated that Nick cheated. That was in the original filings, was that Nick cheated. And then it went to this. Now, I will say that can happen, chat, because maybe Malena just wanted to settle it and not deal with that whole issue being public. I mean, maybe she just wanted that to not be out there. It could be, but, this is not, it could also be not that, but it can go either way. I mean, this is something that's like, they're trying to fight for seeing whoever gets the most amount of money. It sounds like Malena said that at first, very scary stuff. And then she's like, okay, but now I'm willing to just say that nothing happened, which is very interesting. It's like, why would she say that? I don't know.
In practical terms, it means neither spouse has to prove wrongdoing, no evidence of adultery, cruelty, abandonment, or other fault is required. The court only needs to find that the marriage has become unworkable and that reconciliation is not reasonably expected. So
it sounds like it's not necessarily that it didn't happen. It's more so that we're going to go to the court system and not bring any of that stuff up, because that's not the stuff that we want to talk about. And I could be wrong about this. I'm not a lawyer, right? It's more so, yep, that stuff is not relevant to why we're getting a divorce, if it did or didn't happen. So I think that's more so what it is.
You can file divorce on other grounds, and I'll explain what those are. Cruelty. You can file for adultery.
I wonder if
which
this
didn't
was
happen.
a court-appointed
Conviction
video.
of a felony.
What you think?
Abandonment, living apart, etc. She filed on the grounds of insupportability. Next. Award Malena Midtoy-Palom a disproportionate shares of the party's estate for the following reasons, including but not limited to. So she wanted more than 50-50.
I didn't even know they were married. Okay, so the reason why you could have known they were married is Malena moved here when they were married. Like, she can't be here for like 8-10 years just for fun. So yeah, it was pretty obvious they were married if you knew any of that stuff, but...
Unless you have it the other way. The rumor was he cheated on her while she was taking care of her mom in Norway.
The rumor was he cheated on her while she was taking care of her mom in Norway. No, wasn't her mom not in Norway? Her mom was in somewhere else, and she was there. And then Nick went to Norway to hang out. Yeah, she was in Spain. So basically, what this thing is saying is that doesn't necessarily mean that didn't happen. It's more so, and I'm not playing. I'm not on either side. I'm just trying to understand this. That doesn't necessarily mean that didn't happen. It's more so that's not what we are talking about with this court. We are talking more so about the idea that this is about, supportive, right? Am I correct? I'm not a lawyer, so I think that I think I'm right. I mean, that would make sense, right? It's like
they got married in 2015. No mention in the case of her being 17 when they met in 2015. Malena's lawyer fucked up.
Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know if Malena's lawyer fucked up, but I mean, Malena, here's what I'm thinking, is Malena said that stuff. She said the cheating thing happened. And what I'm guessing is this. I'm guessing that Malena didn't want the smoke with that and to deal with it, whatever she has. Because remember, she said she has proof, right? So I'm guessing she didn't want to either deal with that, or she maybe even didn't even have the proof. I don't know. And she just was like, let's just focus on the facts and that's it. And she tried to go that route, which makes sense. Like, let's say Nick did cheat, right? It makes sense to want to go that route if you just want the 50-50 and to get the fuck out. But what doesn't make sense about all this is why would she want more when that's all you wanted? Like, hey, look, I'm going to scare you. I will come out with all this and say that you cheated, but I want, 50-50. And then Nick gave 50-50, but then she's like, I want 60-40. It's like, that's what I don't understand.
50. Respondent's economic and financial abuse of
Does
the
this
petitioner.
mean you'll get your Pokemon card back now?
Well, I don't know if Nick got his Pokemon cards. That's the real reason why we're watching this. Will I get my PSA 8.5 Lugia?
Respondent's failure to permit access to the party's community property accounts, including for purposes of insight and access to such community funds, benefits the innocent spouse may have derived from continuation of the marriage, disparity of earning power of the spouses and their ability to support, earning power, business opportunities, capacities, and the ability of the spouses, nature of the property involved in the division, waste, and
Or
attorney's
maybe she was
fees
mad
to
about
be
him cheating,
paid.
which she can't prove, so she wants more.
So to explain that, the judge, in order to grant Milena her disproportionate share, would have to find something that fits those sort of grounds. Any of those bullet points that I read off. Next, confirmation of Milena Midtoy's separate property as outlined in the attached spreadsheet, meaning that there's an attached spreadsheet here that has her own property in it. Makes sense. Next, order Milena Midtoy Palom's waste claim for Nicholas Michael Palom's excessive expenditures. That was over $100,000 they had claimed against me. The next thing she wanted, and this is one of the reasons why we had to go to trial, order Milena Midtoy Palom's request for post-divorce maintenance for a period of 5 years.
Maybe the
From February
90% was what Nick reported and not what he actually had.
2026 in the amount of $5,000 a month. So she wanted me to pay her $5,000 a month for 5 years. We don't even have kids. Next, and this was the biggest one, the most important one, and it's gonna take some time to explain it because this is...
I'm not gonna lie. If I was Nick, I wouldn't think that's a big deal. Like, am I crazy to say like $5K a month for? I mean, dude, Nick, if he's streaming, he's making $100K a month. You know, is it like, why not? Like, okay, like sure, you want 60K times 5, whatever. It's like 300K USD over 5 years, sure, but like, you know, if Nick's gonna stream and continue to be a content creator, you can't say that Milena didn't help him so much. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bitch, but like, I would have just done it. I wouldn't have cared. I've been like, all right, whatever.
Nick
If that's
is
what you
old
really
school.
want,
It's the gesture.
then I would have just let her have it. Maybe I would say 3 years is fair, but I would not be I wouldn't really care for that, right? Because the thing is 5K a month is a lot of money, right? It's 60 grand a year, but Milena, the thing is with Milena that's different from most women is Milena doesn't know anything besides this world of streaming and content. And I think for her, as someone that's also, you know, been with Nick for so long and doesn't really know anything else besides Nick streaming and content and now not being in that world, I think it's going to be so hard on her mentally and to deal with all that for years that and try to figure out what she wants to do or what she can do, right? Because she doesn't really have any resume to show anybody. She doesn't really have anything to show or prove that she has
In your
work.
experience, is Nick cheap about spending?
I don't really know. But I think that it's going to be so hard for Milena to really evolve into the world after everything that happened, because for her, it's like all she knows is lives, breathes, needs streaming and editing. And now she has to get a job. You know, she has to figure out her own way. And I think that I would, if I were her, 5 years is a little bit excessive. But I would say at least if I was like, yeah, I'll give you 3 years, 60K a year. Sure, you want 180 grand, whatever. I make 100 grand a month. You know, I'm assuming Nick probably makes. Why do I care about 60K a year? Who gives a fuck? Take it, you know? What do you guys think? 60-40 is crazy? I mean, yeah, let's keep watching.
So is this another girl that's going to move in now?
Milena, I don't think we have enough room on the
She
couch.
wanted the 5K to invest in NVDL.
Dude, Milena, you gotta call me on these plays, by the way. If you just took that money that Nick was offering you from the beginning, and we took that and we invested it into the Moo, you would be sitting fine. We wouldn't even need this conversation.
Also why we really had to go to trial. Order Milena Midtoy Palom be granted a judgment against Nicholas Michael Palom with specific language securing such entrance against the shares and stock held by Nicholas Michael Palom with his interests in OTK Ventures, OTK Media, and Kings Gaming Labs Incorporated. So this is essentially the crux of the entire trial. I mentioned earlier that Milena wanted a disproportionate share of the estate. She wanted a 60-40 split of the entire estate, but it was a little bit more complicated than that. What she wanted to do essentially was have her 60% be all cash and my 40% be heavily weighted in my OTK shares. She wanted about 90% of the cash reserves, plus she wanted me to pay her this post-divorce maintenance, and my 40% would be essentially all in my OTK shares, which no one really knows what those are worth.
I will say that you know, that is very true. Like, what is OTK? Like, what? And that is a very true thing. Like, careful words here, Mizzy. No, I mean, I'll say I consider it fact. What is OTK's valuation? What is it? It's Starforge, it's OTK, and it's Mythic, and what does that value have? We don't know, right? Because the thing is, like, it's the issue you have with those things is it's not something that is priced. Nick can't just cash out and say, I want to leave. You know, I'm sure Nick is in the same situation that OTK was when I last was in the Discord before I got kicked a year and a half ago. Was that we have not made a single dollar from OTK. We have not made a single dollar from OTK. Me, Nick, none of the owners. We've not made a single dollar. The only one that's made money on it is tips for his pay. That's it. Not a single dollar has been made. All that and not a single dollar. That is true. Now, what you get is your equity. And the goal is your equity is one day worth money because you sell the company, right? So you sell the company one day and you can make money on that. But the hard part is this with OTK. And this is something that is something that we've learned along the way is OTK is almost impossible to sell. And the reason why it's impossible to sell is the brand and the media around OTK was around the content creators. So when you are trying to sell a brand to a firm for $100 million, let's say, and then they start digging and like, okay, your financials are great. You guys are not making any, you have hardly any costs. You guys make money because you start paying anyone because you guys aren't getting a pay. You guys are really good on your money. You bring in, like, let's say $10 million a year. You spend about $500K of that. So yeah, that's insane profits. But and they ask one question, chat, and there's no answer to this. And this is the problem. But what happens if you guys leave? And that's the one question they ask. And there's no answer to it. That's great and all, but what happens if Mizkif left? That's what they would say. What happens if Asmongold goes? Those were the two people that they said the most, was me or Asmon. What happens if one of you guys leaves the org? And what do you say is that the answer? There is no answer.
Is
right?
OT still a thing?
And because of that, it's very hard to get money for not just OTK, but through all these type of esports or orgs, right? Like, where do you bring in the money if we stop doing our content? It's the same thing with Mr. Beast. Where do you start bringing in money for Mr. Beast if it's not Mr. Beast on the channel? It doesn't make any sense. So that's the hard part with orgs, is they sound great, but the reality is there's no money in them. Now, the money comes from your spinoffs like Starforge, right? Mythic, etc. You can make companies that don't rely on the creator. So Mythic doesn't rely on us. We can all leave Mythic and it'll still make money. And so will Starforge, right? Like, you don't need to promote Starforge at all and you can still make money. Because of that, those have value that you could sell, but they haven't been sold yet. So that's the thing that I would say is not fair in terms of for Nick, would be that, yes, those companies have value if you but on paper, but that doesn't mean that Nick can sell those and make money at all when cash is cash.
Was the biggest point of contention in the trial for me. I don't think anyone would have accepted the offer that was presented in front of them. Essentially, it would drain me to 10% cash reserves, be in debt a whole bunch of money. So I would put a lot of trust in those OTK shares being worth something someday. So that is just about half of the document. And I don't know if I should say this, but now it gets kind of funny, and I'm gonna explain to you why. Up next is a section called income taxes.
Well, what's interesting about the word cash reserves is, like, dude, if you took if I got divorced and my wife wanted 10% or 90% of my cash reserves, take it. Okay, take my 90% of my cash. I don't have much cash on me. I don't have a lot of money cash. Mine's all in the market. So you want to take my cash reserves? That's nothing. I think that word is well, that's you. Most people should not have their money just sitting in cash, especially all of it, right? That's a very, especially if Nick has all of his money in cash, he's an idiot. I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure he invests a lot, or he invested in like AMD or something. Nvidia was one of those. So apparently he had all cash. No, he said on stream that he has money in Nvidia. I remember him saying that.
Man, you're a good
this
person.
For you.
Nick
Order
isn't.
that any refunds received from the date of marriage through the date of divorce be divided equally by the parties, with Milena Midtoy being entitled to 50% and Nicholas Michael Pollan being entitled to 50%. So if there was a tax refund, she will get half of it, I will get half of it. Makes sense, right? Order any liability from the date of marriage to the date of divorce be paid solely by Nicholas Pollan. So if there was a tax bill, I would have to pay for all of the taxes. But if there's a refund, Milena would get half of it. Order that the parties file separate tax returns.
I think that's pretty fair, besides the fact that she would get half the return. I think that Nick should have to pay the tax on that. But I don't think it's fair that she would get half the return.
And partitions as January 1st, 2026, and each party be liable for their own respective taxes for 2026 and each awarded respective returns for 2026. Makes sense to me. Up next, injunctions. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I'll try my best to explain it for everyone. Order Nicholas Michael Palm be restrained and enjoined from making any public statements, whether written, verbal, or visual, regarding the ongoing litigation and the parties' divorce, unless mutually agreed upon in writing by the parties and filed within the court. So that essentially says that me, and you notice her name's not there, but me and me alone can't talk about it. And then the next line is, strictly in the event the court does not grant the requested permanent injunction, Milena Midtoy Palm requests the court after trial on the merits to grant the following permanent injunctions enjoining the parties, their agents, servants, employees, and attorneys. So pretty much everyone involved this is the following injunction. Directly or indirectly disseminating, publishing, or causing to be published, or directly or indirectly requesting a person disseminating or publishing any letter, story, statement, correspondence, description, or depiction of any kind whatsoever, including on any social media, whether fictionalized or not, which is or could be reasonably interpreted to be disparaging, negative, or defamatory in its description of the other party's personal, professional, private, or family life, including without limitation the business or the financial affairs of the other party. So essentially anyone involved with me whatsoever could not talk about this divorce. Spoiler, that did not get granted because obviously we're talking about it now. I'll explain why that didn't get granted, because essentially that's an infringement on my First Amendment right to the Constitution of the United States of America.
It's the exact same reason why, that would make no sense that he wouldn't be able to talk about it whatever he wants. It would be stupid.
Okay, which is freedom of speech.
I don't know why Milena's lawyer would even put that out there. I think that's a misplay on Milena's lawyer. Like, just why the fuck would you put that out there? That the possibility. Because here's the thing, chat, and this is how legal works. 99% of the time when someone gets a lawyer, they don't want to do shit. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to be involved. It's traumatizing. It could be a problem for them mentally. And they don't want
He needed a protective order.
Critique their lawyer because sometimes they just feel like that's what the lawyer's supposed to do. They're supposed to give you the best advice. But sometimes your lawyer actually gives you bad advice, and you should go against them, especially in a situation like Milena or Nick, because it's a social media presence. It's a problem. And I think that Milena should have probably said to her lawyer, hey, let's not try to get that granted because, or maybe we should step back on that because that's going to make me look bad, because that's going to make her look terrible that, no one can talk about this at all and no one can be involved in this. That's going to go against her completely as a person.
Milena Midtoy Palm requests the court order Nicholas Michael Palm to pay reasonable attorney's fees, expenses, and costs through trial and appeal, and a judgment should be rendered in favor of Milena Midtoy Palm against Nicholas Michael Palm and be ordered to pay directly to Milena Midtoy Palm. Milena Midtoy Palm requests post-judgment interest as allowed by law.
Lawyers,
also, it says Milena Midtoy Palm requests the court deny any and all of Nicholas Palm's requested relief filed with the court. So that's a lot. I'll explain quickly what she wanted. She wanted a 60-40 split because of her reasons listed.
Or she just wanted to be avoided by being harassed by Nick Schizos. Yes, you're 100% right, but you should let that happen first and then bring it to the judge, right? So I think the first thing that she should have done, in my opinion, is shown that happens, right? Like, let him speak, let him be stupid, let him say things, let his friends say things, show it to the judges, hey, look, this is a problem, we need to seal this and we need to have him shut the fuck up, and then go from there. The problem is her trying to do that is against the First Amendment right, and it's not going to get granted, but I think the way they went about that is wrong. Like, it should be both sides, right? Hey, I'm not going to speak about this publicly, and neither can you. Instead, it just sounded more like it was just for him.
She wanted me to pay her $5,000 a month for 5 years. She wanted the majority of my part of the split to be locked up in my OTK shares. She wanted me not to be able to talk about the case whatsoever.
Now, I'm going to say this. I don't know how this case went, but if Milena gets any OTK equity, I think that's not fair to Milena, in my opinion, because I think that Milena, isn't an owner of OTK, and I don't think that it really makes sense for her to be part of it when it's like her getting bunched up with a bunch of people that she hates and deals with. Like, it's like, what is that equity worth? It's worth nothing. So it's paper money. So it's like, well, if that's weighed in at all for her, I think that's not fair because, that's like, it's like, I'm building a. I don't know how to describe it, but what do you guys think? I don't think that she should get OTK, and maybe she should be bought out for like a very cheap price of it from
What
Nick.
did you know about this whole situation that you couldn't talk about before the outcasting?
What I don't know what situation you're talking about, bro. I've had 400.
She wanted the things about taxes. She also wanted me to pay her lawyer fees. So what did I want? Let's get into it. It's not going to be as long as what she wanted, so we'll keep it plain as possible. I'll read it as is, just like I did with hers. Number 1, grounds of divorce. Nicholas Michael Palm requests that the court be granted a divorce on the grounds of insupportability.
Did Milena actually help OTK? Yes. And no one would deny that. Not even Nick. No one can deny that Milena didn't help out OTK and wasn't a part of OTK's success. Yes, she did. She was there a lot. She was in support of Nick. She was in support of the entire org. She helped out when she didn't need to, and she was there. And she didn't get any pay for it.
There's that word again, insupportability. This is the only thing that we agreed upon in the entire case, which is good. It really is. In the word again, insupportability. This is the only thing of insupportability.
What is insupportability? What does that necessarily mean? Let's check out the definition.
It means no-fault divorce.
Interesting. Okay, so Milena and Nick went for a no-fault divorce. And that they agreed on that.
There's that word again, insupportability. This is the only thing that we agreed upon in the entire case, which is good. It really is. Next, division of...
But keep in mind, like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that things didn't happen. That just means they don't want to be bringing that up in the court case. That doesn't mean that Nick didn't cheat. That doesn't mean Milena didn't do anything wrong. There could be things that we don't know that we'll never know. But that doesn't mean that that didn't happen. It's just not part of the case that's going to be here. Whether it didn't want to be brought up, it didn't want to be brought up in public, whatever it may have been, that's the case.
Community property. Nicholas Michael...
Or she can't prove it legally, or she can't prove it,
By
or Nick
Robin
can't prove
Hood
it.
Biz Law.
Whatever it may be, right? It could be a thousand different things. Who knows? Milena could have done some fucked up shit that we don't know about, and Nick just didn't want to deal with it, so he just didn't put it in there.
Palm requests that...
Because once you start getting to that kind of stuff, yeah, but you did this, but you did that, it usually goes both ways, right? And because of that, you don't want to get that involved because it's just insufferable for everybody. When you start doing things like that and start bringing allegations out, like what Emmy did, it becomes insufferable because you can start having problems and go bonkers about what's going to happen later down the line. And it's stupid to do.
Court divide the community estate in a manner that the court deems just in right as provided by law and set out in Exhibit A attached hereto. So Exhibit A is essentially an exhibit with spreadsheets, and it ends up being a 50-50 split down the middle. Stocks, shares, cash, everything. Now,
like the best thing in my opinion that Nick and Milena could have done for this whole case is simple. Milena, I do think deserves, here's what I think was deserved. Nick should get all of his Pokemon cards. I don't think Milena should get any of that shit. I think that there's some kind of emotional value there as well for Nick. I don't think Milena cares for it. I think that everything should have been split 50-50. I do think that it makes more sense that her to be bought out of her OTK shares at a cheaper price because she doesn't want to deal with that. And, so I do think that's fair. And I think that Milena could have and should have been given a car so that way she can get a job. I also think that Milena should have gotten at 1 to 3 years of pay. I think that's totally fair. $5K a month. I think that's totally fair. And I think that's basically it, right? That should have been it. I don't think it should have been anything else.
Next, separate property. Nicholas Michael Palm requests that the court confirm and assign his separate property to Nicholas Michael Palm as set out in Exhibit A attached here too. So my stuff is my stuff. Milena also had her stuff. Her stuff is her stuff, which makes sense to me. Next, waste and reconstitution. Nicholas Michael Palm requests the court to find that Milena Midtoy Palm has committed waste on the community and to reconstitute what ought be the actual existing value of the estate.
I like how they had to put a cut there for just one word because Nick can't read.
To reconstitute what ought be the actual existing value of the estate as a part of the court's just and right division of the community estate as set out in Exhibit A attached here too. So just the waste claim, essentially she had one against me, so I had one against her. I'm not trying to get into the gritty details of that. Next, attorney's fees. Order Milena Midtoy Palm pay a portion of Nicholas Michael Palm's attorney fees, expenses, and costs, rendering a judgment against Milena Midtoy Palm in favor.
So keep in mind, chat, we're at the point where this is what Nick wants. So we saw what Milena wants, now we're seeing what Nick wants.
Of Kirker Davis LLP, attorneys for Nicholas Michael Palm, and order Milena Midtoy Palm to pay such a judgment directly to Stephen W. Payne and Kirker Davis Davis LLP, who may enforce the judgment in attorney's own name with post-judgment interest as allowed by law. Attorney's fees. And then my last thing that I asked for, request for Milena Midtoy Palom. Nicholas Michael Palom requests that all relief requested by Milena Midtoy Palom be denied. So essentially what I'm asking for in this is a clean 50-50 split down the middle, just like I wanted back in April and March of 2025.
So I'll say this, I don't think that's fair. I do think that Milena should get some leave, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. I think Milena should get something like 1 to 2 years of leave, because she is now in a different country. She doesn't know anything about this country, or she doesn't know anything besides streaming, working under Nick, and making sure that house is okay. And I think for her, it's going to be such an adjustment into the world that it makes sense that she would need some kind of ability to have money. So I think 1 to 2 years makes sense for her, so she can actually get her foot out. This woman also has no job credentials. She didn't go to college because she was doing stuff for Nick. She didn't try to get a better education. She has no actual skills that she could put on paper. And because of that, I think Milena is 100% deserving of a 1 to 2 years of being paid. Because if you just throw her out there into the world, she doesn't know or understand what's going to be going on, and I just don't think that's unfair or unreasonable to say. Now, that's my opinion. I mean, that's just what I think.
What we have here is the court's ruling. This is what everyone's been waiting for, so let's just go ahead and get it right.
But what else did Nick say? And I also think for the lawyer fees, and this is my opinion as well, I think her having to pay the lawyer fees makes sense. I don't think that Nick should have to pay the lawyer fees for especially, here's the thing, if Nick had to pay the lawyer fees for what it could have been, which was just immediately 50-50 or in some kind of like 1 to 3 years, sure, it's cheap. But the fact that this got dragged out so much, and I'm sure their lawyer fees became hundreds of thousands of dollars, I mean, who really won at the end of that, right? It's like, it just wasn't worth it. Like, lawyers are the scum of the earth. There's no one worse than a fucking lawyer. They're scum of the earth. No matter what lawyer you have, who you're looking at, it's scum of the earth. They are the winners. They are the only ones that will always win. That's just how it works. And they will tell you to do this. They will tell you to do X, Y, Z. People have to remember, and I think this is something that I even learned, especially 3 years ago with my first court case, is a lawyer is not your therapist and they're not your friend. And every single time you talk to them, they are doing their job. They are not there for you, and they don't care about you. So that's the thing, like, you know, but the question is, why did Milena want the 60-40? Why did she want these things? What really happened in these court filings? Because this is Nick's 17-minute summary, but what was said, I don't know.
Just like I wanted back in April and March of
Nick doesn't report his whole assets. Do you have proof of that?
2025. What we have here is the court's ruling. This is what everyone's been waiting for, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Dear counsel, from January 12th, 2026 to January 13th, 2026,
Nick's
the court
portfolio
presided
are
over
worse
this
than
case
Grip's portfolio. I feel bad for Milena.
And took it under advisement. The ruling of the court is as follows. Divorce.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Nick. So the reason, so yeah, I think that's, Milena is saying the reason why she wanted more cash was because Nick said and claimed he only had $1.5 million, and that's the only amount that he was worth. And because of that, Milena was asking for more because she's saying that's definitely not what you're worth. You're worth way more than that. You're not worth $1.5 million. So
Nick also conveniently backpaid Chance all of his rent that was owed on the house as well.
Yeah. I do not think Nick is worth 1.5 million. Like, I'm very honest. Nick is probably worth something like, if I had to guess, something like 3. Because I know Nick also used to say how much he put money into Nvidia, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. And I think he, like, let's say it was 5 years, it's up 11x of whatever he put in. I would guess that Nick had way more, and Milena was pissed that he was hiding it, and therefore she wanted more money. Nick paid Soda 10 years of rent, by the way, during this court case. Oh. So it sounds like Nick played this like a fucking fiddle. And he sent his dad gift money. Is that proven? Is that true? Can I get reports on this? Is this real? It's a strategy. Oh, of course it is. Of course this is a strategy. Soda said it.
How do you do with the stock market?
Oh, fantastic.
Okay.
But you know, you want to know why I do fantastic? It's because I literally just invest in the S&P 500 and I walk away.
You know what's crazy? I put $750K in it
When?
before it exploded.
That was 2 years ago. Bro, that means he would have about $4 million in Nvidia right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait, so
I'm rich as fuck now.
Okay, so Nick is saying he's rich as fuck, but he's only worth $1.5 million. Now here's the thing, you also don't know if he's joking, right? You have no idea.
you're rich as fuck now.
Fuck.
Wait, when did you?
Literally like 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so that's a completely different story now. So now he's saying that he put in 2019. If Nick is saying what he said is true, by the way, which I doubt it. Yeah, Nick's worth about $50 to $60 million. Like, he's worth about $50 to $60 million. Just letting you know. That video was June 2023. Yeah. If Nick really put $750K into Nvidia in 2019, he's worth like $60 to $70 million. So I don't think that's true because I don't know where the fuck Nick would have got $750,000 in 2019. I know his parents are rich or he has money, but there's no way. I don't think it's true.
No, it's just you guys need to be respectful because
I've literally been here before you're even here, so I don't understand what the deal is. I have my badge. I'm a competitor.
No, it's not. It's not about that. Coming underneath or across the lines. That's the whole point.
You know what? I make too much money to be dealing with you. Excuse me. Get out of my way, bitch. Hey. Oh my.
So, what were we saying? So, Milena did not handle the money. No, she did not have access to the account, so she has no idea how much Nick is actually worth. That is true. But I will also say, I think Nick does come from money. So I don't think that makes sense for Nick to have to give up any money that is given for him by his family, right? Like, let's say if that money was given to him by his grandpa, that doesn't make sense for her to have to get that. It would make sense that they would have to split whatever money that they made, throughout the entirety of their, career or whatever you want to say. But it's also, that's how divorces and marriages work, If you're married during it, then you get a piece of it, no matter what it is. She claimed financial abuse, and that obviously wasn't the case. So what's interesting about that is, I don't know why she came out gun swinging, and then she didn't execute on any of that. That's what doesn't make any sense, is she claimed financial abuse. She claimed that she has proof of the cheating. She claimed that she has proof of a lot of other things that she's going to be releasing throughout this entire court case. It was a year and a half that went by, and if you're going to ask what is more important, Nick's money or the court of the public opinion, it's the court of a public opinion for Nick, by far. Like, this money is irrelevant. What matters is that Nick is either people like him or hate him, and I think they like him. He has 15,000 likes on this, right? Like, people are clearly siding with Nick and talking about this after a whole year and a half of Nick not saying shit. So, I don't understand why she started guns blazing and just didn't do anything with that, right? I don't know. Makes no sense.
It's the over-ask strategy and get paid more than you would have play.
Yes, but it's over-ask, but it's also, there's a difference between over-asking and then not showing. It's like she bluffed. She said she has this, a full house, and she, now she doesn't even, she only gets half, So I don't understand. But yeah, Milena wanted more money because Nick is worth way more than $1.5 million. Like, come on. Some of Nick's sponsors were $60,000, $70,000 for him to sit in his kitchen. There's no way Nick's not worth more than like 2 or 3 mil at least. Nick also didn't have to pay rent. It makes no sense. I'm sure Nick's worth a shit ton of money. And Milena was probably mad that Nick was trying to hide that money and that she was trying to get more. So that's why she was trying to fight for a lot more, because she knows that Nick's worth a lot more than he's pretending to be. And because of that, but that's a strategy in divorce court, and it worked. And Nick is now using that to his advantage publicly, saying, "Hey, look, like, I won, I got this." When
he got lucky by streaming with his German girlfriend and not on his channel.
But I will say, Milena's attorney, at least, or Milena, messed up as well, because you can't say, "I'm going to come guns blazing with all this information," and then you don't do anything with it, right? It's like, that makes no sense. You can't say all this, then come out with nothing a year and a half later, and and in the end, like, what really happened here? You basically got the same deal you wanted from the same deal that Nick wanted from the beginning. It's 50-50. You got it, but you got one more year of $60,000. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all.
Is granted on the grounds of insupportability. It's good. That's what I wanted. That's what Milena wanted.
Did Nick not stream to force his channel VODs to get deleted so he couldn't harvest clips? I think Nick didn't stream for multiple reasons. I'm just gonna guess. Probably one was the fact that Malena won't get any of that money because he would just be streaming and potentially giving Malena half. And then I think number 2, the reason why he didn't want to do that is probably the mental. I mean, chat, you got to realize, like, it's very hard to be in a court case and deal with this stuff, especially with someone that you know and you know, had a relationship with, that you're publicly in a court case with. Like, it's a lot in your mental to deal with this shit. I'm just fucking batshit crazy to do this all day. And I bet you for Nick, it was like, well, it's not worth it for him. He can just go on he can go on Kachi's stream and farm his clips, right? I don't think he really cares for his stream anymore. I just don't think he cares. I think he cares more about, you know, getting his clips out for his Facebook and Instagram and shit. He farms his clips on Kachi's stream. He gets to chill out and do whatever he wants, and he's relaxing, right? He's not... I don't think Nick's ever going to go back to being a full-time big boy streamer, like content creator guy. I don't think he cares for it as much, and he has his podcast, and I don't blame him. Like, what's...
Did everyone in Austin know they were married?
Did everyone in Austin know that they were married? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, like, I don't... You got to realize, like, Nick was definitely, and Malena, they were two people that did not hang out with most people in Austin. I hung out with everybody. They did not hang out with anybody. They were very secluded. They stayed in their house. They didn't trust anybody. They didn't want anybody over. And honestly, it was the right fucking call after, you know, all these years. It was the right call. But yeah, they were the opposite of me. I let anyone in my house. They let nobody in that house. They didn't let anyone near that house. When for me, I let anyone and everyone at my place at all times, which was also my demise.
No fault divorce. Next, division of community property. 50% to Mr. Pollum and 50% to Miss Pollum, with the exception of King's Gaming Lab, Starforge, ordered to be split 55% to Miss Pollum and 45% to Mr. Pollum. The court finds that the disproportionate share of those funds are warranted due, number 1, the disparity of the earning power, number 2, nature of the property involved, and 3, waste. So
Malena got 5% more of what she wanted, and Nick lost 5%, but Nick gets to keep Starforge, which is honestly a big W for him, because Starforge is the only... Starforge is worth money. But was that worth a year? God, no. God, no, this is not worth another year of either of their lives. It's just not worth it. Like, wasn't worth.
Explain, before everyone gets all excited, what that means. I have a very small ownership in Starforge. She gets 5% more than I do, and if you do the math, it ends up being about 15K.
Or she must have
if you remember during
by Starforge or Nick.
What? So has the equity of... bro, why would you TTS in the middle of him talking? Shut up.
I have a very small ownership in Starforge. She gets 5% more than I do, and if you do the math, it ends up being about 15K. If you remember during Malena's disposition of issues, she had asked for a 60-40 split because of things like economic and financial abuse of the petitioner. She did not get that. The community estate was essentially just 50-50 split down the middle, with the exception of Starforge, which is about a $15,000 extra towards Malena, and it makes sense to me. I will probably earn more than her going forward, and that seems pretty fair to me. Up next, and this is very, very, very important because it has to do with my shares. Nick?
So she did get more, yes, but I mean, like, who cares? It's not worth. Like, she got 5%. It's nothing. Like she gets 15K more in Starforge. You know, the extra 5% she gets cash. It was not worth a year of fighting this and adding on to legal fees. None of it was worth it whatsoever. It just was a waste.
And Nmplol are designated as constructive trustee for Miss Pollum's interest. So what that means, I don't have to send her my shares. I don't have to send her cash for the shares. I will hold her shares in my name until they're sold, if and when they're sold.
Now, I will say this. It sounds like Malena now owns OTK. Am I right on that? That Malena now owns OTK? She owns half of Nick's shares in OTK, just she doesn't own it in Starforge. Wait, so Malena is now in OTK? No fucking way. Congratulations, Malena, on joining OTK. New member. Oh, shit. Nice. She's a new member of OTK. Nice. Welcome. Congratulations, Malena. Nice job. New to the team. Big stuff. +1. Are you listening? He just said the shares are still his.
You and Malena need to do a corporate raid.
I don't think that's what he said.
DM me.
I can go back and look. Bro, why is nothing working? I need a new PC.
Exception of King's Gaming Lab, Starforge, ordered to be split 55% to Miss Pollum and 45% to Mr. Pollum. The court finds that the disproportionate share of those funds are warranted due, number one, the disparity of the earning power, number two, nature of the property involved, and three, waste. So let me explain before everyone gets all excited what that means. I have a very small ownership in Starforge. She gets 5% more than I do, and if you do the math, it ends up being about 15K. If you remember during Malena's disposition of issues, she had asked for a 60-40 split because of things like economic and financial abuse of the petitioner. She did not get that. The community estate was essentially just 50-50 split down the middle, with the exception of Starforge, which is about a $15,000 extra towards Malena. And it makes sense to me. I will probably earn more than her going forward, and that seems pretty fair to me. Up next, and this is very, very, very important because it has to do with my shares. Nick and Nmplol are designated as constructive trustee for Miss Pollum's interest. So what that means, I don't have to send her my shares. I don't have to send her cash for the shares. I will hold her shares in my name until they're sold, if and when they're sold. So that was a big, big, big deal for me. Doesn't put me in generational debt, and if they sell, they sell. Up next, attorney's fees, denied. Each party pays their own attorney's fees. Motion to seal the court records, denied. Injunctions, denied. Post-divorce maintenance, denied. That means me not being able to talk about the case was denied, and the $5,000 a month for 5 years that Malena wanted was also denied. She did not get that. Each party is to keep credit card in its debt in their own name.
But she did get, what, 3 years, I think it was, chat? She got 3 years? She got 3 years, right? 3 years of 5K? Or is it one? No, it's 1 year. 1 year. Nothing? I thought she got 1 year.
Each party to keep household furnishings in their possession. So all the stuff in this house is mine. All the stuff in hers is hers. Each party to keep their jewelry and personal items. So for example, that necklace that I wore, I get to keep. Pokemon card collection to be divided equally. Mr. and Mrs. Pollum to each.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. So who gets the Lugia? Wait, so who gets the Lugia? I might get my card back. Half stock.
Keep their own
Look at the
online
Discord
skins.
picture.
Magic the Gathering card collection to be divided equally. The Super 73 bike is awarded to Miss Pollum. Each party to keep ownership of their own social media accounts. 2023 Cadillac Escalade is awarded to Miss Pollum. 2021 Nissan GTR is awarded to me. So that was the court's ruling. To be divided equally. The Super 73 bike is awarded to Miss Pollum. Each party to keep ownership of their own social media accounts. 2023 Cadillac Escalade is awarded to Miss Pollum. 2021 Nissan GTR is awarded to me.
That's pretty fair. I think that she should get a car, and I think that Nick should get his GTR. Makes perfect sense.
So that was the court's ruling. To summarize, it was essentially the same exact offer that I had offered her back in March and April of 2025, with the exception of the extra 15K. This court case lasted well over a year. It cost over $400,000 in lawyer fees, expert fees, and in my opinion, most of it was unnecessary. But I had to go. I had no choice. If I was to continue to stream through everything, people would have been harassing me about it the entire time, like they did when I first started. And I do believe that me not streaming was the quickest way to come to a conclusion with this divorce. So there was a lot of rumors and things that kind of spawned from this case because documents were leaked and people made up their own theories and ran with them. I could sit here and diffuse all of them. It'd be pretty easy because none of them were true. But honestly, I got the ruling that I wanted, and I'm not going to do that. I might mention them on the podcast with Chance where we can do it in a less informal environment. But that's essentially kind of what happened. That's the story. That's where I've been. You know, it really does suck that things ended up this way. With me and Malena, we spent well over 10 years together. It just ended up being that way. It's the road that we had to walk, and it's over. There was a whole bunch of different dramas and things that happened behind the scenes that people would find really interesting, but I'm not trying to throw any shade at anybody or at this point. If I don't have to talk about that, I won't. Speaking for me emotionally, this whole thing has been quite stressful. There's been so many things said about me that just aren't true. It was somewhat exhausting. And once I got this ruling, I literally broke down and cried. Like I was like sobbing tears, you know.
You know what's funny, Chad? Whenever I win my court case, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have no tears. None. I'm not even gonna be emotional. Nothing. I can already tell you exactly how I'm gonna feel. Nothing. I will feel nothing. Nothing. I promise you. Not a single tear, not a single, I will not care. Nope. I won't. Well, I will care, but I won't show a single emotion.
Is Noli going to be there to clip you?
She robbed me of emotions, chat. Trust me. I'm sadly, I'm robbed of it. I won't feel a single thing. I won't.
That it was finally over. This actually happened back in January when we finally got the ruling. But lawyer stuff, it took until last month for it to actually be over.
You cry a lot, bro. I don't. Do you know the last time I fucking actually cried? I don't. I used to cry all the time. I lost that ability.
You will show emotion when you play Rack City Baby.
I wish Milena and her family the best. I have no ill will towards them. Hopefully things go well for them, and I'm just ready to get back to work. I want to give this another try, see if I can still do it. So that's the summary. Again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching. And
you're so dark and edgy. I'm not saying that as in like I'm an edgy dude. The truth is the way I am now and how my brain works is I just don't have emotions right now. I just don't, because I know that it's a floodgate. I talked about this before, I think pretty quickly, but when I'm writing or looking at anything with Emmy or regards to Emmy, when I'm dealing with any of that stuff.
I saw a clip of you crying like a month ago.
I almost feel like it's like a water break happens where my brain just starts emotionally feeling like, it's just so crazy to even look at that it's hard for me to even process any of it, that I just start like breaking down. It's very hard to deal with that, where, all the realities of all of it comes crashing down. Because I do believe that most people, if they were in my scenario, chat, would have killed themselves. I just do. I think you either killed yourself or you'd be so depressed and you wouldn't know what to do with your life and you'd be miserable. And I don't blame you. I think most people would.
That's the demon time. Unlike your sharing it.
So anyway, the real question is, do you still talk to Pokimane? Every single day, dude. When she goes live, I'm just talking to her every day through the screen. I just stare at her. I look at her. I'm talking to her. She talks to me back. When she gets up, I get up. It's awesome. Well, actually, when she gets up, I wait a couple seconds, then I get up. It's awesome, dude. I love her. I actually just became her editor, so I'm really excited to start my new position. I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to do a really good job there.
And I'm gold. You didn't do it. Mizzy Wizzy.
No, not yet. But anyway, yeah, I haven't done it. So let's go back to this whole Nick scenario. So, what's more crazy, and I've been through so many court cases now that I kind of got the gist of this, is what's crazy too about the Milena scenario is judges, especially in court cases like this, they are usually more favorable to the women, and they're also more favorable to to white women, more so than a black man. So that is surprising to me as well, that Nick kind of did win, because he's not black. Oh, I don't know why I said that. That was so. I'm thinking of E-Rob. So yeah, you're right. He's Mexican. So yeah, it surprises me because Nick did win. I mean, like, from what is being shown here, Nick didn't. I mean, like, here's what you kind of thought was going to happen a year and a half ago. Let's be honest. You thought, as I did, Milena was saying that he cheated on her, financial abuse, all these other claims that were ridiculous. That was fucking, like, big shots. Like, hey, like, you want to do this? You want to fight me and you want to give me what I want? I'm going to fucking ruin your life. I'm going to ruin your life and show people the truth and who you are as a person, right? And that's what we all thought a year and a half ago. And that Milena was going to say something like that and truly try to, like, do that. But there was nothing, right? And not only was there nothing, it just seems like it wasted just so much time. It's like now a year has gone by and she had to pay the court fees for this past year. And even if she did win more money, she lost so much more on just the legal fees. But for Nick, I mean, Nick also got screwed, right? Nick also lost money. He lost stuff. Nick also lost a year and a half of his career, right? He didn't stream for a whole year and a half, which I don't think he really necessarily cared that much to do that anyway. But yeah. Now here's the thing, chat. We don't know everything. I don't know. I don't have the court filings. I don't know what was said. I don't know what was done. But I will say, for Milena, I don't really know if her lawyer made the right calls, because it just seems like, why would she let her lawyer make these threats and not go through with it? And why would they essentially back up in a lot of ways? I just think that her lawyer did not do the right plays, and Nick's lawyers did. And that's what it comes down to a lot of times, is like, well, is your lawyer going to make the right moves for you?
She can join Renato Capital to pay lawyer fees.
Fuck you.
Wait, what did he say?
Again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Thanks for watching, and fuck you. There's only one winner when it comes to divorce court. It's the lawyers, because they're walking away with $400,000 of me and Milena's money, and they could not give two fucks about us.
Yep, it's the truth.
Milena's lawyer should have asked Dripmeister for the right calls.
It's true. There's no one that wins chat at the end of a divorce court besides the lawyers every single time. Well, I mean, like, look, it sounded like this could have ended very easily, but, you know, Malena wanted more. She didn't believe that Nick was showing all of his wealth, because Nick said he's worth 1.5 million, which we obviously know that's not true. If you know anything about streamers, he's definitely worth more than 1.5 million. And she wanted more, and it seems like she got pretty much nothing more than that. So it's an interesting situation. I wonder if Malena's going to say anything. I doubt it. I think Malena wants to be completely gone from the internet forever. But yeah, what do you guys think? How would he hide his money? I mean, he could. There are ways to. I'm not sure what is possible, but I'm sure there are ways to hide the money and figure out what to do. Right? We need her side too. I mean, here's the thing. It was all in court. I don't know. The thing is, you want her side, but like, what side is there to give when Nick's just speaking straight from the paper? Like, it's like, what is going to be her side? I don't really know. You know, it's like, what is the side of her when she's straight up? That's what happened in court. It's a year and a half of the court. It's like, you're going to argue that? It's exactly what happened. Yeah. So how much did she get? She probably got like somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million in total of stuff and things that if you put it on paper, like cash. And is that enough for her to retire? Or not? She wasn't even supposed to retire, but is that enough for her? I mean, it's $500,000. Fucking people pop, wow, right?